You want to be as aggressive as you can. If you can stick your hand all the way through or feel that sand, you can actually feel the liquefaction. So you watch old guys and they do it naturally. They stick their hands in their pans. They're trying to feel how liquid it is. They want to make sure that they're getting a good separation. So when I'm shaking, I'm making a mess. That's why I brought a towel. But what you're doing is water. Here's a rock and the sand is spreading out. Water's getting in there, and it allows the gold, which is 8 times heavier than anything else in here, 18 times heavier, 19 times heavier than water, to fall through those cracks. If you do not get enough aggression at first, there's nowhere for the gold to go. Now, a lot of people circle. I'm going to tell you, I never do any circles, ever. I never wash circle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and forth. I'm going to get my stuff stratified. I can actually see it. When you do that, I'm going to stop. You don't pour out the water. And then, because it's now going to set up like cement. And when I try to wash this off, it's going to be a mess. So you want to do is get it liquid, and then get it to the lip. Don't pour it out. Don't let it get there, and then you're just going to dip it. So when I'm out teaching all the kids how to do this, it's a dip technique. I'm just dipping straight in, straight out. And when they call the blondes, it's the light stuff. It's actually a different color. It's not just lighter in weight, it's actually a different color. When I pull that layer off, I'm going to start again. And then I'm going to just keep going. Now, if I'm doing one-handed, I'm going to do a couple of aggressions. One of the things you don't want to do is push your dirt out of your pan. If I'm ever going to lose any of that gold, it's right then when I just did that 1 second little flush. Okay, so I'm going to tip my pan forward just a little bit and work it back and forth, noting that the gold is going to get trapped deep. I know right where it is. And if I'm going back and forth, instead of circular, instead of the gold being trapped here, it's trapped in the middle. So when you watch people pan and you watch the gold kind of peek out the side, it's because they're doing too much rotation, as far as I'm concerned. That's my own personal opinion. Now, most people do some form of circular. I go back and forth. I then gently. And when I'm doing it gently, I'm not forcing that out. I'm letting the water come in and lift out. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm dipping and letting it. Now, you notice the big stuff is gone. It's starting to change color. I'm going to stratify again. By the way, jet dry. I already put about a half a teaspoon in my water.
What was that again?
It's jet dry. So it's a surfactant. What that is gold will have a tendency, you want to break the surface of the water to keep your gold from floating. Gold will float out, especially real micro stuff. So you can use jet dry. You can use Dawn detergent if you don't mind the suds. I found a new one that I really like, and it's Liquid Tide for washing clothes. It's cheap. It's a low suds. It's a great surface breaker. And you use about a half a teaspoon, quarter teaspoon per gallon.
Where I've read a drop, that's not nearly enough. Because a half teaspoon is a lot of drops.
That's right. You want a quarter to a half a teaspoon per gallon.
It depends on, he's saying how much per gallon.
Mm-hmm. So I'll do, a good little squeeze of this. Okay. So I'm using the ripples. And all I'm doing, guys, like I said, is dipping. Now, you can do doubles. And really, it's a gentle wash. All I'm trying to do is wash off that top layer. I'm not trying to get too aggressive, and I've already got it down that far, right? Just by dipping. And I know that it's, when I teach children, it's like, no, dip. Do a straight dip because it's very easy to control. And so you don't want to keep shaking and let the stuff go off the lip. I'm watching it. It's right on the lip. Pour off a little water, do my dip. I don't let it sit for too long after I get it to that lip, and I let about a third of my pan, a third of this. So there's 1 ripple, 2 ripples, 3 ripples. When that's off of this ripple, I stop, and I do again. I only want about a third of my dirt exposed. And I'm not getting aggressive. Like, feels really gentle. When I get down to here, I'm going to be a little more gentle. Okay.
That gold's not gone anywhere.
It's okay, guys, when you get rocks like this, to use your fingers and pull them out. I know that there's no nuggets that big. If you got crap in here that's getting in your way, it's okay to put your hands in there.
So if there's no nuggets in Utah, what do they get out at Kennecott?
I didn't. Now they actually use cyanide wash, and they to get 99% of their gold. They don't get any nuggets out there. So the geology in Utah is, we don't have, well, that's where like Dell and those guys will talk about the geology and faults and how gold comes to the surface. We have really mostly sedimentary rock in Utah. We used to be an ocean, and it's built up and built up and built up and built up. And so all of our gold has been beat to death from those mountains and washed down, and so it's very, very fine. It's old gold. It's not tumbled. We're not getting we don't have a lot of hard rock mines here. Although there is a lot of controversy about, the geology in Utah, that there are dams, dikes. There is that, not sedimentary, but magmorphic rock that is pushed up, and we do have some of it here. And for some reason, our geological surveys omit it. So you follow a trail from across a different state, it goes into Utah, it disappears, it goes through Utah, goes to Idaho, and it starts again. So their geological surveys have it, ours do not. Now, why that is, I don't really know. I think it's to, preserve our, anyways. So this is where you want to be aggressive. You want to make sure that gold is settling. This is where you want to be gentle. When I get it down to about a quarter cup, I'm going to turn my pan around. Now, a lot of people, this is where you're going to get a little bit, probably like me or anybody else, you're going to get a little antsy and you want to see what your gold is. You're going to do this you're going to do this, and you're going to roll it. And I always find that when I'm doing this, that the gold will travel with that roll. And you're always getting gold pulling off to the side, right? And so I personally rather not do that. So I'm going to get a little more material out of here. I'm going to show you a way that I do it. It's a little different, like I said. And I'm doing the same thing, Phil, as I'm using that now because it's so aggressive I can't get this material out without using this other side. So I'm going to get some of this heavy off. And really, you guys, I don't know if you can see this. Watch the color. When this starts to change and go dark, I know that I'm getting down to another layer. And that's another layer of heavies. Yes, Phil?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, got it. Okay, so I'm going to use momentum and inertia. Inertia is basically, you guys ever put groceries in your car, you slam on your brakes, they end up in the front seat? That's inertia. The bag is moving at 35 miles an hour, and it doesn't stop. You stop, and it continues to move. Okay? It's the physics, right? And so you go, well, inertia. Well, inertia has more pull on something heavy than something light. If you had a sack of toilet paper and a sack of chains or a bucket in the back of your truck and you slammed on your brakes, the bucket of chains hits the front of the truck, the light stuff stays back. So I'm going to use a little inertia trick. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my gold, I'm going to pile it up in the front right there, and I'm just going to hit it. I'm going to just kind of hit it there, I'm going to hit it. Now, and I'm forcing all the gold to one side. And then I'm going to pull it back. I'm going to use a bottle. I'm going to wash off some of this. I'm going to keep going. And then I'm going to take this out. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back it. So I'm going to go forward. I'm doing the same thing I was doing out there, but I'm doing it inside my pan. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I'm using that little bit of a wave. I'm washing that gold from the front of the pan, I'm washing all the lights off to the back of my pan. Hang on, I'm going to get it all over here. This water is really dirty. That's all right. Okay, so it's called backwashing. So now it's okay. I can get aggressive because I know that anything that's in my pan stays in my pan, right? Because it's not leaving, because I didn't dump it out. Once I pour the water out, it's cemented, it's not going anywhere.
In your squirt bottles, you have the,
Yep, I'm just using a wash bottle to wash that out.
Is that just solid water, or do you have any Dawn in there?
What's that?
Do you have any dish soap in there to help break up the surface tension?
sure does.
Okay,
Sorry, Bob, just in front of you.
I've only got 5 minutes, so I'm going to make this really, really quick. So besides that inertia, have you guys ever seen tapping?
Yep.
Tapping is the same thing with that inertia. What it does is it stops, goes. The heavy stuff moves to one side, the light stuff falls out. So I'm going to show you a little thing that I like to do with mine. Wish I had a little bit cleaner water, but it's all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all my gold, all my rock, all my heavies. I'm going to wash it down to the end of my pan. Okay. One hand, 6. I'm going to go 12. I'm going to actually go to 1. Now, normally if you tap, your gold is going to travel. You're going to tip your pan slightly towards you. You're going to put enough water in it to cover your gold. And you're going to tap, and the gold's going to come towards you, and the lights are going to fall away. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to go to 1, and I'm going to tap towards me. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see in the camera, watch what's happening is all of this is the lights. Now you notice something? Because I'm tapping here, do you see this right over here? All my gold from me slamming it and stopping it moved off to the side. And I already knew it was there because I used inertia to push it off to the side. So now I'm doing my tap, but I'm not doing a typical tap. All I'm doing is I'm going to cover it with water. Can you see it? Can you guys actually see it? Because I can't see behind me. Okay, so now I use a jeweler's loop. It's in my bag. I'm going to come in and I'm going to look at the gold. I'm going to mark it. It stops here, starts there, and I'm going to wash everything below that line out of my pan. Okay, and that's the fine gold too. So when you're talking about like what Phil was doing, I'm actually taking a shortcut and doing the same thing, but instead I'm going to use this. This works better with light gold than chunky gold. A little flake gonna come off on me. Okay, and then I'm just going to dip and wash that out. And I'm going to use that tap technique again. And I'm going to keep doing that. And I'm just going to keep doing that. And I'm going to work all my gold. And I know I'm not as elegant as what Phil was doing, but there's all mine. So if I was to continue to do that, I can wash this out. I know this is waste. You guys see that? I'm not worried about it falling out. Right there? So you can see if I keep doing that, I've got it all the way down because I'm tapping that gold is staying up there. But I'm doing on 1, and the reason why I move it over to 1 is it's going to force all the lights down here, and my heavies are going to stay there after I did my inertia. I'm going to probably do that 5 or 6 times. I'm just going to move it, slam it, move it, slam it, move it, slam it, stop. Tap, tap, tap 1. Hand at 6, tap 1, and I'm going to pull my pan back a little bit. I'm going to draw all that material off. I'm going to wash it off, and I can get to my gold very, very fast. So with the big ripple and a couple of tap techniques, I can get to my gold really, really fast. The one thing you didn't see me do is rotate at any time. I don't want to rotate my gold out of my safe zone, and I certainly, when I'm agitating, don't want to spread that gold out. I want to focus it by going back and forth, and that's just a personal thing with me. You guys got it?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to show you, if you guys want to get back, we'll get you on there hands-on. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go to break, we're going to do the...
Whatever we do.
We could go to break now, if you guys are ready for break, or we can do the raffle.
Let's jump up for 5 minutes, we'll come back and we'll start on the raffles. We've got a lot of good stuff up there tonight, and